Hello, we are live for the second Glampire chat, and I need to pause the watch room. Just remembered. Otherwise it's gonna catch up and start blaring at me. Oh, that's right, but I can't pause it until it starts. So this is how it always gets me.
Hold on, I need to mute myself for a second.
Okay. All right, I'm like a radio announcer filling time. So thank you guys so much for joining. I am Lisa Marie, and this is the Paper and Glam YouTube channel that you are watching live. And if you are watching the replay, it could be from my channel or Alexis's channel. So I am joined tonight by MissTrenchcoat, or if you are watching her channel, then I'm joining her. Oh, and there's the watch room. All right.
We're good.
All right, then I am joining her. Glampire chat, and I need to pause the watch room. Just remembered. Okay. The watch room is killing me right now. It's killing my flow. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So if you guys have hung out with me before, then you know I am Lisa Marie, and I live in Denver. I work for an IT company in LA by day, and then I do my blog, paperandglam.com, and my YouTube channel, and my shop, The Glam Shop, at night. And Alexis has somewhat of a similar story until this past year. So we are kind of both at similar places in our business, and kind of wanted to create this forum as just an open discussion and a dialogue to answer a lot of the questions we get and anything that we can potentially help you with. So hello to my Paper and Glam family. And Alexis, do you want to say anything by way of intro?
Hello, my strange and charmed ones. If you're watching this on my channel on instant replay, it won't be instant, but it'll be up pretty shortly after the live viewing here. So welcome to Glampire Chat. As Lisa Marie said, this is our, this is me and Lisa Marie's collaboration ongoing video series that we're doing that is basically all about business, social media, life, and fitting it all in. So we've basically created this as an outlet for us to share the things that we know about social media and the things we know about business with you guys, because we get asked questions about this a lot. Like Lisa Marie said, she and I are both online business ladies, girl bosses, boss ladies, blog bosses, whatever you want to call us. And, we are in very similar places, but it's really fun that we're almost like two sides of the same coin. And if you joined us for last episode of Glampire Chat, which was last month, you know that one of us is full-time, me at this point, and Lisa Marie's doing this as a side hustle. So literally we've got all of the bases covered here. So whoever you are, whatever you're doing, starting an online business, a blog, a YouTube channel, just want to up your social media game, this is for you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And just one thing I wanted to say that we said to talk about this now. We are addicted to Instagram, Lisa Marie and I. So I would love to see your pictures of like your setups as you're watching this. So pull out your iPhones or your cameras or whatever you use, take a quick picture of like your surroundings, your desk, your computer or your iPad, whatever you're watching this on, just take a picture of it. Let us see what you guys are doing, like what your setups are, what it looks like. And don't forget to grab a notebook and a pen, you guys, because so much information is going to be coming at you very shortly. You want to make sure you're taking notes. So make sure you tag any pictures or tweets or anything social media to the Glampire Chat hashtag, and make sure you tag me, MissTrenchcoat, and Lisa Marie, Paper and Glam. That's our handle on everything. So go forth, tweet, and Instagram us pictures. We want to see them, and make sure you're sending us your questions too. So
yeah, absolutely. We really want this to be an interactive experience. We want this to be a dialogue. As much as we want to share information, we want to know what you want to know and what you want to know next, and kind of what you're thinking as you're watching this, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay in the comments. We read every comment. So tonight we are taking on branding. And this is such an important topic. I was looking up some stats in preparation for this chat because Alexis and I, we've done 2 run-throughs. We really get on the same page with content. We want to make this worth your time. So we're going to try and pack as much information into this hour as we can. The first half hour, we're going to try to really have it be content content-based, and definitely feel free to ask questions. Don't feel like you need to hold your questions to the end, but we do have a separate kind of second half of the chat just reserved for your questions. So first half, we're really going to go through some content and kind of what a brand is, and we're going to set the stage and talk about our personal stories with branding, and then we're going to take whatever questions that should come up. So why we chose branding as the second topic for our Glampire chat, and if you missed the first one, we talked about how to do your side hustle, how to start your side hustle, how to maintain your side hustle, just tips for fitting it all in. And we also kind of started with the basics of each of our stories. So how Paper and Glam got started, how Alexis started her business and her blog, Strange and Charmed. And so if you missed the first episode and you kind of are wondering if you're like, need to go back, definitely watch that one, and that will kind of set the stage for where we are today. So we're not going to spend much time laying the groundwork from a business perspective. We're really going to focus on branding tonight. So branding is so important. So every minute, 571 new websites are created. So brand new websites. And every minute, 68,000 blog posts are updated. I mean, and this is worldwide every minute. That is a tremendous amount of content. Just absolutely astronomical that much information is literally put into the internet. So how do you stand out, right? The statistic is that the average online user spends 15 seconds deciding whether they are going to stay on your website, your site, your blog, your shop, whatever it is, you have 15 seconds. I can't even say my name in 15 seconds. And Alexis and I are both talkers. So how are we going to convey who we are and what we're about, except through our brand? We have 15 seconds for that brand to make an indelible impression, to either create a customer, create a community member, convey information, whatever it is we're trying to do. And of course we have different online properties and they all have a little bit of a different purpose, but we have 15 seconds either way. So branding is huge. It's if you don't nail branding, you don't have another opportunity. So, or at least, you have to wait till your name kind of comes up for that reader again to get their attention. And then they're kind of biased, right? They're like, oh, I've checked that out before. Like I've seen it, maybe it doesn't fit for me. So branding is absolutely crucial. I would say that, you really need to nail branding before anything else, because you want to be able to both get attention and then hold it. So, again, really quickly, just to set the stage, and then I'm going to turn it over to Alexis, who has written an entire blueprint on branding and has a coaching course on this and definitely has studied it more than I am. I just want to really set the stage for what a brand is, because on Instagram we got a great question. I'm going to go ahead and quote bright colors and happy things. And she said, what exactly does it mean to brand? How do you keep a brand consistent, or what Alexis and I would call on brand? How do you stay on brand? And then what signifies a brand? So just to unpack that real quickly, a brand comes from the old school cattle brands, right? When farmers and livestock owners would actually physically brand their cattle with their name, so or their symbol, so that you knew that piece of livestock belonged to them. So a brand is similar. It's any identifying mark that denotes something that is your online property. So it really can be anything. And what I would, as we walk through this, what I would kind of replace brand with in your mind is maybe ask yourself the question, what does my community think of when they hear my name? So when you hear Paper and Glam, what do you think of? That is my brand. When you hear Strange and Charmed, what do you think of? That is Alexis's brand. So I think that'll be really helpful if we think of brand in that context, because at the end of the day, it's really user experience or UX. And most big companies have entire teams dedicated to nothing but UX. So nothing but user experience. They make sure things are on brand. They make sure people are connecting and using the content that they create or the software they create, how it's intended. And they're basically getting out what they've put into whatever online platform they've created. So UX is huge. So for our purposes tonight, we're really gonna be talking about branding and user experience interchangeably. So Alexis, what would you have to add to that intro?
No, you definitely nailed it. That part you said at the end, the experience. That's what I think of when I think of brand. For me, a brand is the idea that comes to someone's mind when you hear the word Paper and Glam, or you hear the word Strange and Charmed. So just really quickly, before we even get into this, I want to play a little game with you guys in the comments. And I know I'm winging this. I didn't tell you about this. This literally just popped into my mind. You know how I think of things on the fly.
Right, roll with it.
You guys, you guys watching this, you guys know either me or Lisa Marie, you know one of us or both of us. Tell us what our brand is to you. What makes you think of Paper and Glam? What makes you think of Strange and Charmed? What is it? I know that there are things that you guys identify with us because we get emails all the time and we get tweets all the times and Instagram pictures that you guys see something and to you it says, oh, that's so Alexis. And you guys will tag me, or you do the same thing to Lisa Marie. So what is it? You guys answer it in the comments. What is it that you think of when you think of Alexis? You think of Strange and Charmed, or if you think of Lisa Marie, like start throwing out some information that you guys think of. And yes, I saw your Twitter and Instagram pictures. Keep them coming, you guys, because we're going to be checking those throughout the night. But this is what I want to hear. I want you guys to tell me what you guys think of. And I know there's going to be a delay, so I'm actually going to start talking anyway about it. So one thing I get a lot is whenever someone sees glasses, like geek glasses, right? They think of me, they think of Lisa Marie, because our glasses are an iconic thing, and we are kind of very bold about wearing our glasses. So I find that like a lot of people see us, see glasses, think of us. When you see hot pink, you think of Lisa Marie. When you see teal or turquoise, you think of me. You think of stripes, you think of me. You see like pink glasses, like Lisa Marie's pink glasses. You see her God and Glam things. Okay, Emily Speaks said productivity, hot pink. Someone said Sakura said hot pink stripes glasses. Exactly. So there's so many different ways. And here now they're all coming in. So you think of books and hustle. You think of Lisa Marie. Exactly. So these are coming in now. The diamond. Exactly, Liz. My diamond. This is all part ampersands. Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. Ampersands, the glasses, the blue diamond, everything. You guys are describing our brands right now. And those are things that are physical representations of us. So this is exactly what I'm saying. So this is what a brand is. This is what it's all about. You guys are defining it yourselves. But the problem is that sometimes people can't reel it in and apply it to their own lives and what it means for themselves and their own businesses. So that is what we're going to go into today. So do you think that was a good summation there, Lisa Marie?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we kind of jump into our stories though, I know we identified in our run through Saturday 5 things that really are visual pieces of content that are going to create a user experience. So you might want to get out your pens because I'm going to name 5 things. So the first is a logo. The second is signature colors. The third is fonts. The 4th is the overall design. And then the 5th is content. So I'll apply this to my website, and then Alexis, you can do the same with yours, just because I'll mess up yours if I take yours. So my logo is the Paper and Glam. It actually was inspired by the Chanel logo, and it has that reflection, so it looks like it's looking at itself in a mirror, kind of, or shining up, which I thought was very glammy when I was designing it. And then it has that pink ampersand, which I use as my favicon, which is the little icon that's in the top of your internet browser when you are on Paper and Glam. I use it in my videos as my watermark. So that ampersand is kind of a distilled version of my logo. So a watermark, a logo, then colors. I'm sure you think of pink and black, and for Alexis, teal and black. Fonts. Alexis and I use very consistent fonts because we want to create a consistent experience, because you can convey so much in a font. Alexis, you can attest. We talk about what font to use. How long did we talk about what font to use this morning? 30 minutes, because I needed to make sure that for the Glampire, so we're rotating, right? So I host one chat and I'm creating the graphics and the imaging, but I want it to be on brand with the Glampire chat series that Alexis and I have designed together. So all the logos for this series we designed together, all the fonts, all the colors. Of course, we tried to meld our 2 brands together, so it wasn't too hard. But everything we do, we try to make sure it's on brand. So design. Where is your blog posted every week or however often that you update your blog? You create a consistent design. And then lastly, your content. So I am all about paper and then just kind of everyday lifestyle glam, and that's the content you can expect from Paper and Glam. And I really try to stay within that box and stay on brand in whatever I do. I'm creating a uniform experience. And Alexis, do you want to kind of apply that to?
Yeah. So there was 5 things, right? It's logo, signature colors, fonts, design, and content. Was that it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I was writing it down, because this is another thing we're just popping up, but I can definitely wing this. So Yeah, so my logo, as you guys know, it's that signature logo I use is my teal diamond. That's pretty much been my logo, or you'll see my logo in font form is the Strange and Charmed. Now, to be completely honest with you guys, from a graphic designer standpoint, if I pulled my husband in here, he likes to say, Alexis, words do not equal a logo, okay? That's your header. That's what he tells me. But that's my logo. That's the stamp that you guys see. And, you know, that's why I've integrated the diamond, the teal diamond in there. So talking about signature colors, the colors I use are teal, black, and gray. Those are my colors. And there's very specific reasons I use those colors. It goes back to color theory, and what those colors actually mean and denote to people. Fonts, again, Lisa Marie said it, we use different fonts. I tend to use a font called Dido, because I think it looks very, I think Dido looks very magazine, very sleek. I like serif fonts because I'm old school like that. So, you know, there's the fonts that go into it, then the design. You guys, when you guys see a picture that I've taken, you guys know it's my picture because it's designed the way I would design it. My website has a really nice editorial layout that looks like something you'd see like in a magazine, very streamlined. I always make my blog posts, week after week, my blog posts always look the same. They start with an image. And then there's, you know, words, and they're always broken down very similarly. You wouldn't see, you know, something crazy on my site and think like, oh, wow, you know, I'm getting tongue-tied right now. You wouldn't see me breaking from that mold, right? Because that's the template that I use. That's the design that I use. And content-wise, like you guys know what I write about. You know, I write about technology, productivity, getting things done, planners. And Lisa Marie writes about, you know, lifestyle and her planner, you know, and home decor and her, you know, her faith and, you know, and you know, Bible study and things like that. So that content, you know, for me, my content is technology and productivity and planners and things like that. So, you know, that's my brand. And, you know, week after week, day after day, whenever I do anything, I have to remember when I write a blog post, it has to be designed this way. When I take a picture, it has to look this way. It says Alexis. It says Strange and Charmed. So that is everything that goes into my brand.
Yeah, and one point that your talk just kind of brought to mind is that quite clearly everything we create originally. So 100% of the content you see on Paper and Glam, I make it myself, I write it myself, I design it myself. Same with Alexis. I don't want you to be able to see what's on Paper and Glam anywhere else, or whether that's the blog post, the Instagram, the YouTube. I want you to come to Paper and Glam for a Paper and Glam experience, just like Alexis wants you to come to Strange and Charmed for an Alexis Giostra experience. You know, we want our personal brands to be unique to us. And one thing we're going to kind of go into next before we dive into our stories, which would be just really quick how we built our brands, is the difference between a quote-unquote brand or a corporate brand, and then a personal brand. So Alexis and I both have personal brands. So this is the easiest type of branding because we are the sole owners and creators of our content, right? We're CEO, we're creative director, we are owners, we fully own our content. So it's easier for us to create content that's true to our brand. Now, if you're Target, you have, you know, who's behind Target? We don't really know, right? I'm sure we could look up the CEO, but that's not who Target is. Target is a brand, but it's not a personal brand. So everything they do with that red bullseye and, you know, all the other amazing things Target does, they have to stay on that corporate brand. So, you know, they have a whole team that makes sure everything they do is on brand. And, you know, Alexis and I do that, but in a smaller scale. So if you have a shop or you're building, I don't know what kind of business you're building. Alexis and I are building personal brands, but I do want to point out, if you have, you know, a corporate brand or a business, you know, where there's not a person visibly behind it, it's even tougher to stay on brand and really to make sure you're conveying a uniform experience. So there are two different types of branding, and we're going to focus on personal brand just because we both have personal branded businesses, and I have a feeling that's probably where most of you are. Even if you have shops, they are personal to you. You don't have like a team working with you. So we're going to focus on personal brand. But, you know, if you have bigger questions, if you have a business where there isn't, you know, they're not seeing you as the owner behind it, definitely throw those in, because most of our content tonight is geared towards the personal brand.
Yeah. And just a question that came up that I just want to, actually, I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little more later, but I want to answer it right now while it's in the comments. Someone had asked how you create a logo. Like Lisa Marie said, we create all of our stuff ourselves. My logo was created in InDesign, Adobe InDesign. I did it myself. So these are things that we're making for ourselves. Someone had suggested to go to a site, and I never like to use names, but you guys named names, and I'm going to say it, Fiverr, okay? I would not suggest going to that site. At least, Marie, if you're not familiar, this is a site that basically bulk produces logos and things like that for businesses for like $5. It starts for $5. So if you're thinking too good to be true, correct, it is. That site is notorious, and it's not every designer on that site, but it's notorious for if you're paying only a few dollars for your logo and things like that, they use very shady business practices. They steal stock images. So point blank, you spend $10, $20, $30 getting a logo made for them, you guys, they very well, because you got it in a quick turnaround and it was very inexpensive, they've stolen a stock image. You're using that as your business image or your business corporate logo or whatnot for your shop or your site. Guess what? You just got opened up to copyright fraud. This is why Lisa Marie and I are so hell-bent on making sure we're always creating our own stuff and that we 100% own the things that we sell and show you guys. So just hope that answers it for you guys, because there were some questions in there about Fiverr. You know, the truth of the matter is that if you want a nice logo and you can't do it yourself, you're going to have to hire a designer. That's what it's going to be. Just a tip really quickly to throw in there, you don't have to go and spend thousands of dollars with a professional design firm. Go to a college, a community college where you can hire a student. Try to find someone that maybe does this. Check, I would say check Craigslist, but that can be shady as well, because you really don't know where people are using or getting the inspiration from, and you could end up with stolen images. So I hope that answers it for you guys. It doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg to do it yourself, but to get it done. But safe is better than a lawsuit because someone used a shady stock photo or stock logo or a stock vector. So I hope that clears it up for you guys.
Yeah,
so,
that's a great point, because I kind of skipped over my outline. So we're going to tell our stories real quick, but after that, we're going to spend some time specifically on execution. So how do you do this? And of course, we're going to say how we did it, because there's more than one way to get this accomplished. And then we're going to talk about how to keep it uniform and some just really quick tips on how to make sure that you're staying on brand. So we definitely are going to talk quite a bit about execution. And I know that we're at 7:22 here, so our stories are going to be really quick. And then we're going to answer some questions. So if I didn't already say it, or Alexis, you didn't already say it, we are going to talk about trademark and copyright. And this is something that actually Alexis and I have kind of rapped a lot about, because I have very strong feelings on trademarks and copyrights. I am all about protection, just because I know how much I put into building my brand and how much Alexis put into building her brand. And there's so much to know about copyright law. When I was in college, I took so much e-commerce and copyright and trademark law, because you don't want to make a mistake there. So that was a specific question that was asked by Mocha and Hearts on Instagram, which is how to copyright and how to trademark and when you should do both. So I do want to go into that, because I think it's really important, because it's something to bear in mind as you're building a brand. So Alexis, we can talk about that whenever, but definitely want to make sure everyone knows we're going there next.
Absolutely. Yeah. So sorry, I kind of just derailed us, but I saw it in the comments and I didn't want to forget, and you guys were talking about it. So I'm like, let's just nip this in the bud, because yeah, that's, we want to watch out for you guys. We don't want you guys to find some sleazy internet site that's going to promise you something and then ruin your business. You guys put too much work into your business for something like that to happen. So are we starting with our branding journeys, Lisa Marie?
Yeah. And I definitely, we don't have to stick to the plan at all. I just want to everyone knows what's coming. So yeah, either that or we can go into copyright and trademark real quick. Either way.
Let's go back and talk about our branding, right? So I will stick to the plan. I didn't mean to derail.
No, you're fine.
So, what?
I said type awesome.
So actually I think someone, Liz, said in the comments, they said, Lisa Marie is wearing a teal shirt and Alexis is wearing hot pink lipstick with a black shirt. Did they plan this? No, we didn't plan this. This is the only shirt I had. And it's not just pink. This is my magenta. It's actually purple. It's the color violet is what it's called.
So on the nails. So
she's on mint. She's doing mint. So I'm just black and pearly and striped and striped. So yeah, so okay, so let me tell you guys about how I got to my brand. So for any of you guys who may already know about a little bit from my story, basically Strange and Charmed is the latest iteration of my blog online. I'm not like Lisa Marie. I did not have this planned out. So there's obviously two ways that you can go about creating your brand. One, have a cohesive brand thought out ahead of time, like Lisa Marie, or wing it, like Alexis. So I've winged it. So you know, Strange and Charmed is my current brand. That's what I do now. That's my business now. And really, I guess it started out with, you know, the name of Strange and Charmed. A lot of people don't really know, but some people have guessed that it does relate to quarks. This is science we're talking about here, people. There is a pair of quarks called Charm and Strange. And when I was creating this website, I was like, oh, I want, you know, a website for like quirky girls like me. And Mike and I were literally in a pool. We were in our pool. It was in the summer, in the pool in our complex. And we were like, quirky, 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 quark. I'm like, the quarks, strange, charm and strange are quarks. And I was like, and I think Mike was probably like, maybe you could be strange and charmed. And then it just stuck. So my name, that's where my name comes from, right? So that's, you know, that's where Strange and Charmed comes from. And it basically is, you know, anything with these names, what's in a name? It's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The way I look at it is, you know, I attribute what Strange and Charmed means. I have a vision of what that means. But of course, just saying Strange and Charmed, unfortunately, is not as easy. It's not as straightforward as paper and glam, right? So it's not as easy to conjure an image. So the next thing that I went after that was the colors, right? My favorite color, this is so lame. My favorite color is turquoise teal. It's my favorite color. I'm a Pisces. I was born in March. My birthstone is aquamarine, and I really like the color. Turquoise, teal, aquamarine. I love that color. So when I did a little bit of research into branding, I basically found that the color teal is very representative of femininity and intellect. And I was like, well, does that not hit it on nail on the head there? Intellect. My blog name is already something that comes from science. So it's, you know, it's kind of like this dorky girl sort of, in my mind, it was like a, you know, aha moment for the dorky girl inside of me. So from there, I just picked my colors. You know, teal was the color I wanted. I didn't want tons of colors. And then from there, it was black and white and gray. And for me, you know, gray also means, you know, I think it means like very elegance. I think gray signifies elegance and intelligence as well. So it just kind of like, you know, all the things work together. And that's where I got my colors from. My fonts, literally, Dido was just my favorite font. I just really like it. That's how that happened. And the design of my blog, I did purchase a theme for my blog, which is from a company called Blue Chic. If you go over to Strange and Charmed, if you're interested, I actually have a little logo on my sidebar for Blue Chic. If you go through there, you can see they sell very beautiful feminine WordPress themes. So I bought one of those. I spent, you know, a little bit of money buying myself a nice theme so I could have this nice, beautiful design. And then from there, it was just my content, which, to be honest, my content was something that I struggled with for a while. I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, but as the years progressed, I've been doing this for a number of years now. I think Strange and Charmed was born in like 2012, maybe 2011, 2012. So, you know, it's me constantly adjusting and streamlining my content to where it is now. So, I guess that's my story. That's my branding story. Oh, and the diamond. I just really like that. I love diamonds. I mean, and not like diamonds as in diamonds, but like that shape of a gem. And to me, that spoke to me because it's like charm. Like, how do you signify charmed? Like maybe a charm bracelet. And then I was like, oh, well, a bauble, a little diamond is a charm. So that's where that came from. My little teal diamond. So, yeah, that's pretty much my brand in a nutshell. All the peripheral things that you guys see, like the black and white stripes, these are just things that are just my favorite things that I have all over my house. And it's just like, I just like black and white stripes. You know, she's got black and white stripes. You know, these are just things that are, the glasses, it's just part of my brand because I'm a personality. That's my brand in a nutshell. So.
Yeah, Alexis, that actually provides a great jumping off point for my story, because when I was brainstorming my brand, so you know I'm a huge planner. So Paper and Glam is kind of on the opposite schedule. So Paper and Glam is on a 10-year plan. I'm not even kidding you. So I started dreaming up Paper and Glam in 2005, so 10 years ago. And I'm surprised that it took me quite this long, but you know, God has a plan for my life, and unfortunately it took a decade. I know it's not going to take you guys a decade, because when Alexis and I started blogging in our businesses, you know, it was 2008, so it was the dawn of blogging. So we kind of had to work through many iterations of the blog world and the business world, and kind of the beginning of, well, not the beginning of online business, but I would say it was online business 2.0. So as I was going through college, and to answer one of the questions Melissa took is, what classes did I take that helped me build Paper and Glam? And this was key. I went to school for business. I knew I wanted to be a business owner. And so going through school, I literally looked for the classes that fit with that. So I took web design, I took graphic design, I took copyright law, I took e-commerce law, so copyright and trademark, so online, you know, internet property protection. I took, you know, of course, you know, accounting and operations management and marketing, and all of the classes that all business majors need to take. But I also took a lot of design and a lot of photography, anything that was going to help me build my brand. So definitely, if you're going through college, that's a great thing to think of. I know that a lot of you have commented that you're young but want to do this in the future. So definitely, if you have the ability to kind of to plan ahead and go through college with your business in mind, that's great. But if you don't, there is nothing stops you from, you know, going to your local community college, which will have classes on, you know, all of those topics. I mean, I've looked at the community college courses, because I would love to brush up on my Illustrator skills. So, and I know Alexis is the same. We know enough to be dangerous, and we know enough to get the job done, but we both would love to, you know, have like the depth of ability that Mike, her husband, has, or that, you know, a full-time graphic designer has. So, you know, I've looked at the course calendars for my local community college, and, you know, they're all available at a very reasonable cost. So, you know, definitely stop by, and they're usually like Tuesday, Thursday, and, you know, for like 6 weeks or something. It's very doable. So don't feel like if, you know, you are just getting started and, you know, maybe your college years are behind you, you can't jump in and learn how to do it. Because I really would recommend, you know, as much as you can, pay someone to create a logo or a brand for you, or a website. You know, one, it's very costly, but two, it's kind of short term. And if you need something up quickly, it's not a bad idea. But to sustain original content, you're going to need design experience, and you're going to need the ability to consistently create that brand experience. So, you know, there really are no shortcuts to building a brand. If there were, I would tell you guys, because I wish there were, but there really isn't. You just got to kind of learn by trial and error. And if you're like me and you're a planner, and, you know, God has been really gracious in that he gave me the vision for Paper and Glam, you know, 10 years ago. And it's been one of the greatest blessings of my life, especially now that I'm seeing it come to fruition. And, you know, Alexis winged it. So there is no right and wrong, because we started at the same time, and we're ending up in the same place, you know, at the same time. So we even we even started working from home, quit our office jobs like within like a month of each other. So it's just funny that the kind of stars aligned for us. But you know, there's more than one way to get this done. So when I started Paper and Glam, and I was brainstorming Paper and Glam, I was like, you know, what are my favorite things? Like Alexis talked about, if you're building a personal brand or even a corporate brand, what are your favorite things? So you guys can probably name them, right? Books, project life, planning, scrapbooking, Bibles, and journaling. All that stuff is very based in paper. So that was a slam dunk, right? And then, you know, I love paper, but paper and planning, that's one side of it. But I think learning to live well, and the art of learning to live well, is also such a passion. Like that living well is an art, right? And I think, you know, your life is your art. And that's something that I say all the time and remind myself, you know, every day that I wake up, I try to live it as art. And that is something that has inspired Paper and Glam. So I thought, you know, how can I kind of convey that in one word? And all I could think of is, you know, glam. So when I was worried that it was a little bit pretentious to, you know, say like glamorous, but, you know, really like what would kind of convey kind of an everyday experience, because glam can be many things. You know, the sunrise is glamorous. So that's how Paper and Glam was born. I wanted it to be concise, and I wanted to say what I did. So one of the questions we got, and this was from LA Holly, she said, how do you name your business? And one of the biggest tips I can give you is make sure in your title you say what you do, because that's going to help you tremendously with SEO, which is search engine optimization, and a lot of other things. You want people to know really quickly what you're about. And you know, this is what they tell you in business school. And so of course I approach things from that lens, and Alexis has a completely different viewpoint, and you know, it's working for her as well. So I wouldn't say there's any black and white rules, but just things to keep in mind. Definitely try to say what you do. So that's what I did with Paper and Glam. And yeah, so as far as like the pink and the black, similar to Alexis, you know, when I think of pink, I think of feminine energy and just positivity and kind of an uplifting color. And then when I think of black, I think of like professionalism and elegance and restraint in some ways. You know, Coco Chanel said elegance is restraint. And I just love that. So I thought that those two colors really convey, you know, who I am. I have my like business mode, my professional mode, and you know, then I have my fun girly side too. And so I really felt like that's true of a lot of women, and I wanted to kind of create that experience. And when I was building Paper and Glam, I really thought I want to create, like, for lack of a better phrase, like a glammy newspaper. I remember thinking that, you know, like people get their morning paper in the morning, and this was especially true back when I was thinking of Paper and Glam, because there weren't really blogs yet. You know, all news came through, you know, like big publications, the TV, and you know, some internet sites were really gaining traction, but most people still read the paper, which is going to date me, I think, or my parents did at least. So I was like, what if there was like a glammy newspaper, and in addition to, you know, like world events, there was also, you know, lifestyle stuff. Now there's plenty of places where you can get your world events, and you guys can brush up on what's going on in Nepal and, you know, all of the things that are happening in the world. I wanted there to be kind of an uplifting side to that, because we see so much in the news of you know, people that are hurting and things that are really hard to consume. And I wanted to kind of make a parallel to that was more uplifting. So I kind of thought about, as I was designing Paper and Glam, like creating really like a glammy newspaper, as I called it. So that's really how Paper and Glam was born. From a logistical standpoint, I used Photoshop to create my logos. I used, I didn't buy a theme. I custom did my HTML. It's very simple. You know, you don't need much. You can either buy a theme, or my particular platform, you have to do custom. You have to do custom HTML really to get the experience I was looking for. So mine is all just basic HTML design from the back end.
Because you're in TypePad?
Oh, yes.
So you're in Type, is it, it's called TypePad, right?
TypePad, yep.
So Lisa Marie's in TypePad, and I use WordPress, just so you guys know. So that's why I bought a theme, because buying a theme or having someone do one is really the only option when it comes to WordPress.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so different blog platforms, definitely. I bought Paper and Glam, and I also bought God and Glam, because I actually had tossed around making Paper and Glam God and Glam, but I thought that might, how do I say this? I didn't want you to necessarily think Paper and Glam Christianity. Of course, that's a huge part of my identity and a huge part of what I'm passionate about. You know, there's nothing more important to me than my relationship with Jesus Christ, but I didn't want that to be the defining piece of my blog. Or my brand. I wanted it to be a Christian lifestyle brand, but I didn't want that to be defining, if that makes sense. So I bought both, and I'm going to use both. So, you know, nothing stops you from buying multiple URLs and using which one works. I think that's about it. Did I miss anything, Alexis?
No, sorry, I had to unmute. I was responding to questions in the comments. So some things people are talking about are, you know, what blog platform to use. Lisa Marie uses TypePad. I use WordPress. Obviously, I use WordPress because I think I like WordPress. I think it's maybe the best. And Lisa Marie uses TypePad because she likes it. She must think it's the best. So, you know, it's just really about doing your research too with a lot of this stuff. Another one that you hear about Squarespace is another really popular one that's kind of up and coming. It's just, I use WordPress, I did my research. This is what worked for me. I used to be on Blogger, Blogspot. They're free. Things like Blogger or Tumblr, even WordPress.com, you can get a free website for your blog. But the problem is that your SEO is never going to be, the SEO rankings are much lower for sites like those. And I did like an entire not blog post, but a YouTube video where I talked about this. So I hate to say, go watch that video, but I've got a video, a planning video about getting started with a blog in YouTube, I think is what it's called. And I kind of talk about that. So I hope that kind of helps so we don't have to go on a whole tangent on that. But just trying to see what other questions. Yeah, URLs. You guys Google where you can buy URLs. Google where you can do site hosting. Just so you guys know, I think I bought my URL and I do my site hosting through Bluehost, if that helps. But GoDaddy's another one. Like, these are just places that basically broker online websites. So, you know, just find a deal that you like and a place that speaks to you.
Yeah, DreamHost is a great one as well, too. So
is that who uses DreamHost?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's all different. There's so many of them, you guys, and GoDaddy does hosting too. It's like they all are in this game. So you find what works for you. You find the reviews, see what you want to do. You know, I literally just found someone online that I really, really trusted their opinion and did what they did. So that was like why I went with Bluehost. So that's, you know, all these things are just, you know, it's all up to your own preference.
Yeah, so Alexis, we're getting some great questions. So instead of talking about execution and uniformity, I definitely want to take some of these questions if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And then, because I'm sure actually physically executing, which is kind of what we're talking about now, and uniformity will come up through that.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to save time for a couple questions that came from people on our community who weren't able to join live, but definitely wanted to get their questions answered. So I do have those saved and I have 3 that I think they're great questions too. So I definitely want to kind of save some time for that, and they may even come up in the questions. So one that I want to address is from the Lettered Classroom. She said, I just finished purchasing a custom blog design from Blogger, and I would hate to lose it when I move. Any recommendations? So you should be able to copy the custom HTML. And in fact, if you right click on any web page and you click view source, you can see all the custom you can see all the custom code that's behind the website. So theoretically, you could take Alexis's website or my website and right click and like view exactly how it's coded and then like do it yourself. I don't recommend this, obviously. Definitely.
I'm pretty sure that my blue chic would probably find that and, you know, probably sue you. This is like the reality of it. So
well, again, but as a basic, if you want to like see what like the back end looks like, it's not a bad idea, you know. I don't use it. Again, we get into trademark and copyright and all of that, but you know, you can do that for any website. So you should be able to take that HTML and copy it and paste it into a new template, because this is something she's paid for. She should be able to use it in any platform that she would like, I would think. I don't know much about Blogger. I've never used it.
So someone's asking about purchasing their domain through Blogger. So this is the thing, and I'll just give you the quick and dirty. Even if you buy your own domain through Blogger, your own URL, all that is like a bookmark. That's all it is a bookmark on the web for where your site is located. It's basically an arrow that points to your site. The reason that SEO is not ever going to be as good on a Blogspot account as it would be on a WordPress account, for example, is that your Blogspot account is always going to be a subdomain. It's always going to be a subdomain on Blogspot. How many blogs are on Blogspot? I don't know, a bazillion. So you're always going to be one of a bazillion on that site. Now, when it comes to my site and Lisa Marie's site, we're self-hosted. We've paid for dedicated server space, and all of our information is 100% owned and controlled by us. The data is stored on Bluehost server or DreamHost server. And we are, just baseline, we are our own individual sites. Is WordPress the best, Alexis, for beginners? I mean, if you're a beginner and you want to start out right, I suggest going self-hosted. If that's WordPress for you, if that's TypePad for you, you know, there's other different, you know, there's other content management systems out there as well, like like I said, I think Squarespace, I said earlier. But, you know, what?
I just want to break this down because I think there's a lot of confusion around URLs versus blog platforms versus hosts, and I just want to break this down. So kind of like if you look at this like an onion, the first thing is your URL, like Alexis said. That gets you where you need to go. That's like the address on your house, right? Mm-hmm. That's your URL. So the first thing you need to do is you need to buy your address, you know, so people know where to find you. And then from there, you need to figure out a way to basically put information into that space. And so that's where you need a host. So like Alexis, you use Bluehost, mm-hmm. and you know, I use DreamHost, and that is a company that basically holds all of our information, our email, our everything, and they actually host. So they host paperandglam.com, Strange and Charm, or strangecharm.com, and so they're basically information holders. They're administrators of our information, because Alexis and I don't want huge servers in our house for all our data, you know, because our blog has been around for what, 6, 7, 8 years now. That is what a host is. And then when you talk about a blog platform like WordPress, TypePad, Squarespace, Weebly, I'm not sure if they're a blog or if they're,
Weebly is its own. Mike uses that for his professional site.
Okay, never mind, strike that. You know, Blogger, those are basically blogging platforms that have essentially figured out a way through HTML to basically sell a blog platform so that it's very easy for you to create and publish blog posts on a periodic basis. So I hope that kind of helps break down kind of the difference between URL, a hosting company, and then a blogging platform. Because
and these things are, so what she's saying, the WordPress blog, these things are, you may also hear them, and I may refer to them as content management systems. They are basically software that you download. So I downloaded WordPress onto my site. The information of that is stored on the server at Bluehost. So Bluehost is like the hard drive that holds the information, and WordPress is my content management system. It's basically the place where I put my content out and it manages it for me. So they all look different in their back ends, but they all do about the same thing to the user experience in the front. So these are all different. There's just so many different options out there. I don't want you guys to get bogged down about like necessarily what's the best. You know, try to find, you know, reviews. This is what I suggest, is find reviews. You could take what Lisa Marie and I say, like whatever you want to, you know, if that helps you, that's what I did. Like I said, I found a review from someone that I trusted and I went with what they did. So, you know, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You need the URL. You need hosting of some sort. You're either going to pay for it through Bluehost or DreamHost, or you're going to get it for free from Blogspot. So that's, you know, think about that. Blogspot is where you're hosting your site. But the reason that Lisa Marie and I don't do Blogspot is because, like I said earlier, it's a subdomain. You're one of a bazillion other websites that Blogspot manages, basically. So you're never going to rank as high in SEO, which is search engine optimization, which means when someone Googles, you know, I don't know, app review, and then I pop up higher in the search than someone else who maybe did the same app review in a Blogspot account. So I hope that makes sense for you guys.
Yeah. So if, you know, those are great execution questions, and we're kind of going to jump all over the board, and hopefully this is still going to make sense for you guys. But there was a great question, and Chantel asked about confidence. So I'm scrolling up to find I just lost the comment. There was a great one from Chantel I wanted to address, or I hope that I'm saying your name correctly. She basically said, Alexis, that, you know, we're both very confident, and she's, you know, hearing feedback that, you know, what she's doing won't work, and, you know, basically how did we find the confidence and the courage to put ourselves out there in an online space when there may be naysayers around?
Oh, that's easy. Oh, that's an easy one. Okay, you guys, I want you to write this down, okay? Haters gonna hate, okay? There is nothing that you could do in your life that 100% of people are going to say, oh yeah, do that. Oh yeah, 100% of people are gonna agree with that. There are always going to be people who say that what you do is not going to work. It's not. I get this all the time. My dad still doesn't know what I do. He calls me and goes, "Are you a millionaire yet?" And I go, "Almost, Dad, almost." He has no clue what I do. People don't know what we do. And this sort of resistance that you get from people around you, you know, you have to remember that if your friends and family are going, I don't know if this is a good idea, it's because they're being cautious, because they don't know something. Like, they don't know about this. They don't know about the internet. It's a brave new world. It's wild, wild west 2.0. This is all a new thing. It's doing a business online. But it's not just, this sort of resistance is not just something that happens online. You know, people could say the same thing about, I don't know if anyone's ever, you know, brought a boyfriend home and your mom was like, I don't think so. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are going to get doubts and resistance from everyone in your life, or many people in your life, for most of the decisions that you make. So this is one of the ones where it's like, you do you. Like, people, there's always going to be people who say that you can't do it, that's a waste of time, waste of money. let me tell you, I still have people that I'm related to who think what I'm doing is a waste of time and a waste of money. Then when I explain to them I'm making more than I made at my Fortune 50 job, they still don't believe it. So fine, you don't have to believe it. I know what money in my bank account is, and I know what makes me happy, and I know what me and my husband have agreed is right for us. So you do you, and try to let the naysayers melt away. Like just what I just do is I tell people, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm crazy. Yep, I'm crazy. Just let me live my crazy life doing my thing, because you can't argue with people. You know what I mean? Like when people have an opinion, you can't argue with it. So just know that it's, you know, this confidence that I have has been my entire life. People have been telling me that I can't do things. And it's just like, really, watch me. Like I've been able to break through whatever walls anyone told me I couldn't do it. Because for some reason they didn't believe it could be done, or I don't know, they didn't have confidence in themselves that they thought that it was even possible. So just, you know, these are sorts of things that like a lot of people face. I mean, Lisa Marie and I are just, you know, modern business ladies, but these are things that happen to, you know, actors, actresses, musicians. People tell them they can't do something, athletes, anyone who goes after what they want and goes after their dreams, inevitably other people aren't going to understand or agree. So you have to let that kind of melt away. And you do you, because it is your life. You only get one if you believe in YOLO. You only get one. So if you're not a Buddhist, you only get one. So, you know, you do what you need to do and what's right with you. Because no one else has to live your life. No one else, you know, at the end of the day, I have this quote that's actually, if you guys have my 2005, does anyone have my 2015, that this is your year printable? You guys, some of you probably have that in your planner right now, I would bet. I have a quote in there from a very great movie I like called Kingdom of Heaven. And it says, when you stand before God, you cannot say, but I was told by others to do thus, or that virtue was not convenient at the time. This will not suffice. When you go to heaven and meet God, you cannot tell him, well, other people told me not to do the thing that you were telling me to do. Like Lisa Marie and I feel called to do this. Like we didn't just wake up one day and go, you know, it'd be fun if we just started a business. We feel like this is our purpose. And we believe that someone upstairs is telling us to do this. This wasn't something that we just came up with. So, you know, you have to balance it that way. This is your life. This is your one shot. Geez, I feel like there's an Eminem song in my head right now. You got one shot. Now is the time to go. Opportunity knocks.
Wow.
Once in a lifetime, yo. That's, you know, this is it. Like you have to do it. The end. Done rant. I'm done.
Yeah.
Out. Alexis charmed out.
Yeah. Turned down for what? Like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And I think this is such an important topic. And I think this is kind of this topic of people not believing in what you want to do or what you feel called to. I think this is analogous to what we talked about with competition last time, in that this is kind of a really important topic I want to dive into. And just to kind of repeat, or for the replay, Chantel's original question is, what gives you, Alexis and Lisa Marie, the courage and drive when people say that ain't going to work, and basically laugh, you know, when you've shared ideas, you know, and this is happening to her. So I completely agree with everything Alexis said. And when I stand before God at the end of my life, and he knows what talent he gave me, what desires he gave me, what passions he gave me, what gifts he gave me, what blessings he gave me to enable me to do this. I can't stand before God at the end of my life and say, I was too scared, or my mom didn't think I should, or my dad didn't think I should, or you know, my boyfriend thought it was a bad idea, or whatever it is. I can't stand before God and say that. I want God to say, that's my girl, every single day. I want him to look down on me and see me doing what I'm called to do and say, that's my girl, killing it. With everything I gave her, she is killing it. That's what I want him to say. And there's a story in the Bible that really illustrates this. And it's about, you know, there's this master, and he gives each of his servants a different amount of talent. And I know God knows how much talent he gave me. He knows what opportunities he gave me. And he has given me exactly what I need in my life to succeed for what he has called me to do. And the same thing is true for you. What you are called to do, God is going to open those doors. That's not on you. And no one's going to stop that. No one's going to stop the promise God has in my life. No one can. His ways are higher, right? No one is going to be able to stop me. I have heard a million times I can't do this. I've heard him, you know, I'm sure all of you, there's there's basically always going to be people who don't believe that. There's been people in my career who have told me that I'm not good enough, that I'm not going to make it in my profession. And that's not true. You know, I'm sitting here 28 and I am killing it in my profession. And I'm so grateful because obviously there's been people who believed in me along the way, but there's been just as many people who didn't. And so you really have to remember that. And one thing that I actually talked about this in my last YouTube video on the Erin Condren is I have on the front of my paper and glam binder, and I don't have it with me right now, or notebook, you know, it talks about being rooted in Christ. When you're rooted in Christ, no one can sway you, right? You're like a tree with great roots. I don't care what anyone says, because what I always tell Alexis is, I'm gonna do me, you do you, because we're always giving each other feedback, and sometimes it fits like a glove, and sometimes it's maybe more in line with her brand than mine, or more in line with her strategy than mine. And we have different end games. So of course we have different strategies. So sometimes we're like, that's great advice, but I'm gonna do me, you do you. You know, she's CEO of Strange and Charm, I'm CEO of Paper and Glam LLC, and you know, I'm gonna do me. So at the end of the day, you need to go to bed every night and know that you are doing what you're called to do, and that you're doing the thing that lights you up, and no one can take that from you. And it doesn't matter how long it took. I talked about this in the last chat. It didn't matter for me how long it took. Paper and Glam is a calling on my life. It's what God has given me a vision to execute, and I could see it before I brought it into the world. And if it took me another 10 years, then I was going to stare at that no until it became yes. Simple as that. And if it never took off, if no one ever looked at Paper and Glam, if no one ever watched this, then you know what, at the end of my life I stand before God and I say, you know what, I gave everything. It is not uncommon for me to work 16 hours a day. Every day this week I've worked 16 hours a day. I've worked 8 hours for my IT company, and I have killed it for my boss and my team. And then I've switched laptops. Literally, I've like taken Sunday for a run or eaten dinner, and I've switched laptops, and I've kept going on Paper and Glam, because God has given me the energy and the desire and the passion and the gifting to do this. And if he has given you that, then you need to take it and you need to put it to its highest and best use, because he is counting on you to bring something into this world that isn't there before. And I always say my mission, you know, I don't care too much about money or viewers. My job with Paper and Glam is to put a hot pink dent in this world. That's why I wake up in the morning. Luckily, I have my IT career, so that keeps me sleeping indoors and pays my bills. And the rest of the time, I can focus on Paper and Glam and putting a hot pink dent in this world for the kingdom of God. And that is my purpose. So if you're living out your purpose and you're living an authentic life, it doesn't matter if there are naysayers. My mom still says, I don't know what you're doing over there, but it has something to do with playing with paper and stickers, and, you know, like, get a real job. And, you know, I love my mom. She's incredible. She's my inspiration. She's the original Glampire builder as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, like Alexis said, she still isn't quite 100% sure what I do, and that's okay, because, you know, I will show her. And she honestly doesn't care. She's like, it's obviously working for you at this point, so I'm going to see my way out of it. And, you know, that's that. And like Alexis said, you can't argue with what's in your bank account. You can't argue with page views per day. You can't argue with that. You know, don't worry about what people say, because the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. So, you know, and just one more thing I want to say on this, because we've nailed this. This is solid. You know, Lisa Marie and I are going to talk about, Lisa Marie talks about this a little bit more than me, but we're going to talk about calling and feeling like a connection with the universe, and that God is speaking to us, and we're doing the things like that. All this sort of, if this sort of like religious-y, faith-based talk is not for you, don't worry about it. This still applies to you. I mean, what we're saying right now should not be the first time you guys have heard not to listen to naysayers. Like, this is like a worldwide, like a known thing, right? Like, people, you've probably heard quotes that, you know, like we're saying similar quotes all over. You've maybe have gotten this sort of feedback from other mentors, other teachers. You've seen this out there. Like, you know that this is how the world is, that some people are negative, and there's always going to be people, even if they love you to death, who don't understand what you're doing. This is a universal thing. This is not like a religious thing. Although we sometimes come, like Lisa Marie for sure comes from that place, and I come from it sometimes. I like teeter on the edge. So I don't want to like scare anyone with some of this talk, but this is just our way of expressing this truth that is out there in the universe. So I just want to make that clear in case this is like someone's hearing this and going, oh, I don't want to hear this. Like, this is not my worldview. It doesn't have to be your worldview, but the truth is the same, right? The vein of truth still rings clear. It all comes down to you just doing you. You do you.
Right. And hard work forever pays. That was one of the comments. So Completely agree. Hard work forever pays. So one of the questions was that, and she's asked it twice, is she wants to talk about LLCs and like sole proprietorships. And Alexis, we've talked a lot about this. So are you comfortable kind of winging?
Yeah, do you want me to give them a rundown real quick? I don't know. Yeah, so this is the thing. Okay, so Lisa Marie and I currently, we're both LLC'd now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we're both LLC'd now. In order to start a business, I'm talking about the US right now. So if anyone's outside the US, I do not know the rules. And again, this sort of stuff varies across state from state. But generally speaking, when we're talking about making right with Uncle Sam in the US, by April 15th of every year, you can go, most of you guys are going to fall into one of two categories. Number one is a sole proprietorship, which is what I was last year, which meant that any money that I got came through me, my name, and my social security number. And when I paid my taxes, I got the forms that came in from whoever paid me to do work, like money that I got from Google for YouTube things and, clients I had worked with, and sponsors and things like that. So they send me, is it called a W-9? I forget the form. What is it? I-9, W-9? Do you know, Lisa Marie? What is the form that we get from them?
To incorporate?
No. I'm talking about when you pay your taxes.
1040? No.
Yeah, maybe it was a 1044 is like the form you use. But don't worry about it.
W-4.
A W-4. Okay, so W-4. So if you work a regular job, you get a W-2 from your job at the end of the year, the beginning of the year, to claim your taxes. And this LLC sole proprietorship really just has to do with taxes. So if you're starting a business, you do not have to become an LLC. I know some business ladies who are entrepreneurs who run six-figure businesses who are not LLC'd yet, because it's just a different tax bracket. So what an LLC means is you're a limited liability corporation. Lisa Marie and I are both LLCs, which means that if and let's use my example, because I think my example is a little better because I do consulting. So I do consulting, which means I have clients and I give them professional opinions on what I think they should do for their business and social media. If I give someone some bad information, or someone takes something I say and applies it the wrong way, and all of a sudden their business collapsed, would not really happen, but if it happened, they could come after me, right? They could try to sue me. But the fact that I have an LLC means that my business is protected. That's what that's for. It's to protect my business in case I get sued, and vice versa. If someone wants to sue my business, it can't attack me. So it's literally a protection, a legal protection. So Lisa Marie and I are both LLC. It costs a couple $100 to do it. I did mine on LegalZoom. Pretty simple to do. Just fill out some forms, know what your business is. Pick a name. Picking a name was literally the hardest part of signing up for an LLC for me. And then wham, bam, a month later, I got it. So that's really, when we're talking about sole proprietorships or LLCs, it's literally just for tax purposes and for legal protections. So if you're someone who, let's say you are a sticker maker, you make stickers on Etsy, right? You could be a sole proprietorship. You don't need to have an LLC if you don't want to, because chances are, if someone gets a bad set of stickers, they're not going to sue you. You're just going to return the money that they paid, or send them a new set of stickers. So that's really what you think about is really the legal protections that you need, and setting yourself up as an LLC or like a corporation, which is it's like corporations are normally for bigger businesses, but depending on your situation specifically, you may want to sign up for like a C Corp or an S Corp. But this is just legal protection and different sorts of taxation. That's really what it is. Does that answer that?
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. So I want to kind of along that legal path. I definitely, if you don't mind, Alexis, I want to take the question from Mocha and Hearts on Instagram. And she asked about copyright and trademarks, because I think this is really important and kind of is a good segue to a few of the legal things that we should definitely tackle in this as far as brand. So real quickly, copyright. I'll use my own business as an example. The day I registered paperandglam.com and I with my my logo up there and some content, my first post which was a blog post, that Paper and Glam existed. I copyrighted it, Paper and Glam, copyright 2008. And now my copyright says Paper and Glam 2008 through 2015, because as soon as I bring something into the world, as soon as I create it, it's mine. I own it. It is copyrighted Paper and Glam. As soon as Alexis makes a graphic, it's copyrighted Strange and Charmed. It's copyrighted Alexis Geostra. No one else can use it. It is her personal property. And the same goes if you're writing a book, if you're an author and you write a book, as soon as you're done with that book and you, well, no one's going to have the exact same book as you, so they may not have been a good example because it's not online, but if you publish that book online, no one can take it and resell it because it belongs to you, right? So as soon as you bring something into the world, you can copyright it. So absolutely everything should say, you know, copyright your business because you created this, it's original content and it belongs to you. And that tells everyone, you know, on the bottom of my footer, it says copyright Paper and Glam because every single thing you see on my site was created by me and I own it. And that means if you use it, you need permission. And so definitely make sure that, you know, you have a copyright visible somewhere on your site. So trademark is a little bit trickier. So a trademark is an identifier of your brand. So, you know, Nike swoosh is a prime example, Coca-Cola, you know, these are huge brands where you see, and so 99% of the world recognizes that Nike swoosh. It's the most successful brand ever. So that is a prime example of a trademark. Of course it's trademarked because that is something that only Nike can use on their products. So say that I probably couldn't copyright the pink ampersand because everyone uses an ampersand. You know, that's not exclusive to me. So there are many things that can't be copyrighted, but say that you have, say that I made the Glam Girl and I have a whole line of products around the Glam Girl. Maybe she exists. I don't know. I'm just making this up on the fly. I could trademark the Glam Girl as a character that I created and say that, you know, say I didn't know Alexis and she's over there on the across the country and she has the great idea for the Glam Girl. Who would own that trademark? You would think, so say I trademarked the Glam Girl and then I found out Alexis was using it. You would think the trademark of the Glam Girl belonged to me. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The trademark, whether it's registered or not, and don't miss this, belongs to the first person who used it. Period. And that was a bill that was signed into law by Bill Clinton. This is huge. And this is to protect businesses from copyright. So say I'm over here and like I don't really have a good idea for my business and I see, wow, this Alexis girl is killing it. But I bet you like, you know, I could just do a similar thing and like blow up because she's about to blow up. So I'm going to go ahead and trademark Strange and Charmed. I'm going to, you know, trademark her diamond. I'm going to trademark like all of her logos so that when she goes to, you know, if she chooses to trademark it, she can't use it. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. That's called cyber squatting. And this came out of a business of people actually doing this, of taking people's brands and then buying the trademarks or like the internet properties so that they had to basically buy it back from the squatter. And it was like kind of like a black market business. So the first person to use something owns the trademark, whether it's registered or not. So if you are building a brand, it's not a bad idea to just search the trademark database to see what has already been trademarked, just so you can know if you own something. A prime example is I wanted to trademark Glambition. That is something I made up. I thought, you know, maybe I'll trademark that. That's the first thing that I really felt like was trademarkable. Of course, Paper and Glam is trademarkable, but, you know, I started that in 2008 and I probably should at some point, but it costs about $300 and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I wanted to type in and see if Glambition was taken, and it's been taken. It actually was trademarked, I think, in February of this year. So I just missed it, and you know, that's okay. It doesn't mean that I can't still use it because I don't know who this person is that trademarked Glambition. Like maybe they aren't even using it. Like it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily use it. Anyone can trademark anything pretty much if it gets through, if no one has trademarked it. I could trademark, you know, you can't trademark like things in basic conversation or basic symbols, but you know, I could trademark like pink and black gumballs or something, you know, to take it from my background there. And like, I could get that through, you know? So just because you have a valid trademark doesn't mean it's going to hold up in court. So trademarks only protect you so far. So just be aware of that. And, you know, it may not even really be worth investing the $300 because if you created something and you brought something into this world and it is uniquely yours and it is not something common that like anyone may use, then you own it. Like one thing someone had emailed me who's actually an attorney and she said, you know, You Better Work was used by like RuPaul in the 80s, I think. And, you know, you may not want to use that. And I'm like, You Better Work was used by Britney Spears 2 years ago. You Better Work is, you cannot trademark something that's like common speech. That can't belong to anyone because it's something that's common in our language. So those are just some food for thought for trademark and copywriting, because there's a lot of confusion around that. And we spent like a whole semester on trademark law. So it's something I'm really, really passionate about, which Alexis can attest to, because I like start rapping about trademark if I see something that's like major infringement. So just because I know how hard I've worked to build my brand, and I just don't like to see that. So definitely, I hope that makes sense, and keep that in mind if you're considering buying a trademark. It may not be worth it.
Just something that I would like to put out there right now. Neither Lisa Marie nor ourselves, although we have done research and have training, are legal and tax professionals. Therefore, the advice that we are giving you right now is purely our experience and our research, and therefore you cannot take it as gospel, 100% truth for you and your situation. We do not want to be held legally liable for you guys doing something that we said and it being wrong, or something like that. Because again, with trademarks as well, something that Lisa Marie kind of touched on this, is, okay, so I could trademark Strange and Charmed. I don't need to, because I own the website. I own the social media properties for it. I'm not worried about someone taking Strange and Charmed. I could trademark Strange and Charmed as my website or my brand. That would not necessarily stop someone from creating a Strange and Charmed line of shoes, for instance, because one of the parts of trademark is its application. So what Lisa Marie said with the RuPaul thing, like he said, RuPaul said you got to work. Well, it's fine. It's not the same application exactly that Lisa Marie is using it. So with trademark, it also comes down to the way that you're using it. For example, I have my empire building program. Someone a few years ago, and I wasn't able to find very much on this, had to do with empire building. It was a travel site or something travel. It had something to do with travel. I'm not infringing on anything for empire building for travel, because my empire building is an online business course, like an online marketing course. So that's another part of trademark. It has to do with not just who's using it first, but the context in which you're using things. So Lisa Marie, do you have any more insight in that, or about that, or?
No, I kind of meant to go there with my Glambition example, and I didn't follow through. So I appreciate that. Just because someone copyrighted Glambition, I don't know how they're using it. Like it may not even be relevant. So because all I know is that so-and-so in LA copyrighted Glambition, and I think it's a movie studio actually. So there's probably a movie in development about it, and which is great for me because that'll drive up my SEO. But just what Alexis and I am saying is, with trademark, copyright's a little simpler, but with trademarks, there's no hard and fast answer. So yeah, neither of us are trained legal experience. I only have my own research for my own business and my business education backing me up. And definitely Google it, do your own research. I'm pretty confident I'll align with what I shared with you. But yeah, of course, legal disclaimer, please consult your legal professional.
Legal and tax professionals, we are not those, so consult your own. Now, talking about a question that I actually saw that kind of goes into this a little bit. These are frequently asked questions that we get. Someone was asking about business licenses. Business licenses, depending on where you live and the business that you run, you may have to apply for a business license. For me specifically, in my situation, I don't need a business license. The county in which I live in, the state in which I live in, does not require me to have a business license to run an online shop and online consulting. Now, if I decided I wanted to own a nail salon and put up a nail salon next to my house, yeah, I need a business license for that. A lot of common practices when you're dealing with people's health, people's wellness, giving people certain advice, like lawyers need, I'm pretty sure most or all lawyers everywhere, you need to have a business license to open up a law firm. You need to have a business license to open up a clinic or a hospital, or
nail salon,
or a hair salon, or anything where you're, a barber shop. Like there are certain businesses that require business licenses. Anyone who deals with, in my area, because I live in like not a rural area, but I live in Pennsylvania. So there was all business license online for livestock and fertilizer and dealing with hazardous materials. I deal with paper. The worst thing that could happen is someone gets a paper cut. That's not something that needs to be managed with a business license, but it does, different cities and different counties and different states all have their own different rules for this stuff. So you do want to look into it. If you have a question, this is what I want you to do. Look up the website for your state that you live in. look for Secretary of State or no, really, it's the Department of, it's probably like the Department of Finance or Treasury Department, whoever deals with your state taxes. Look them up, give them a call. They will have someone who will answer the phone, and you can ask them. You can say, hi, I'm starting a business. This is my business. This is my zip code where I live. This is what my business does. Is there any applicable business licenses that I need to know about? This is completely free. Completely free. Call them up. They will tell you. That is how you know for sure. I searched online, found everything. I talked to a tax professional as well that said that I was fine. I didn't need any business licenses for me in my area. But it really does depend. Because if you live in a metropolis like New York City, and I live outside of Philadelphia, if I lived in Philadelphia, there were some business licenses I maybe needed to have, like it was questionable, because different places want to basically, you know how it is with the government. They want you to buy a license. They want to make sure they're tracking you so that you're paying your taxes right. But for me, in my situation, I didn't have any, and I believe, Lisa Marie, you don't have any applicable business licenses that you require either for yours.
No.
So a lot of these things, if you guys are running Etsy businesses where you're hand making things, most likely, no, you're not going to have to do a business license. Don't worry about that. It really has to do with a sort of established professions, where you're dealing with people, you're dealing with giving people advice, you're dealing with government things and anything that's hazardous, animals, the treatment of animals, things like that. This is where it comes into business licenses. So I hope that helps you guys. But definitely call your Secretary of Treasury for your state, ask the person, say this is the question, I need to know this, and they will get you to the right person, and they will give you a yes or no answer. And it will be 100% accurate because they're the ones who are supposed to know. Trust me, if there's a business license, they'll tell you about it because they want to tax you. So
yeah, they want you to pay for it because it keeps
they want you to pay for it. They want you to pay for it. So they will tell you. So you'll be fine. Do that. That's how you know for sure. Free way. You don't have to consult anyone. Just call them directly.
Yep. And, keep in mind, if this isn't an overwhelming amount of information, it is overwhelming starting a business, but just start somewhere. And if you are operating in good faith, then, you're going to be fine. Most of us aren't doctors. We're not lawyers. We're not people who are practicing business that has many, many laws and legal implications. Most of us are, if you're creating a personal brand, chances are you don't fall into one of those categories that is very heavy regulated, right? Things that are heavily regulated is because there's risk there. If you're making food, of course, that's heavily regulated, right? Because you could very easily kill someone, So if you're making stickers, like I said that in my last planner video, like YouTube doesn't allow me to give anything away to someone under 18. And I'm like, I'm giving away a planner. Like, are you going to paper cut yourself? Like, I trust no one's going to sue me over a paper cut because that would cost you more to file than what you would get out of me. So you just have to kind of operate in good faith and proceed from there. So I know it's an overwhelming amount of information and things to look up, but one thing Melissa asked on kind of that same vein, and as far as copywriting is, how do people know that you created something? If I make paper and glam, how do people know that it's mine? Definitely, I recommend you putting it out into the world. So if you have something called, Melissa Crafts in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is where she lives, then publish that, get that URL and publish it, because that's a great place to start. And then if someone else tries to get your URL, it's already exists in the world. So just put yourself out there, and no one, when you start small, no one is watching, and that can be an incredible blessing because you can find your groove and kind of get confident and get good at whatever it is you're doing and kind of train up before the masses are looking at it. So I was telling Alexis the other night, I was looking at my page views. I'm like, gosh, this is intense. There's a lot of people looking at paper and glam, and that's that's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of people on the subscriber list, and I want to provide great content, and I'm not giving we're talking about lifestyle stuff. I want to make it fun, but still make it relevant. And, so if you're just starting out, kind of take comfort in the fact that as you get bigger, there'll be more and more pressure, and, that comes with its own challenges. So just start somewhere. Don't feel like you have to nail it from the beginning, which is something I really struggle with, is feeling like I have to constantly kind of get it right from the get-go. And don't feel like that. Just start somewhere.
And Lisa Marie makes a really good point about putting it out into the world. I would say with your businesses, you guys, if you're starting businesses, don't worry so much about making an LLC. Don't worry so much about trademark. But create a paper trail for yourself. Establish that you're the person who's writing these things, thinking these thoughts, creating these products, because that's what it really comes down to. If you, for the most part, none of you should ever run into any issues if you're creating your own content and running your business appropriately, like she said, in good faith, and accurately, telling the government how much you're making and things like that. You should have no problems. But you do want to establish a paper trail. You do want to make sure you're publishing things on the internet. You want to be able to keep records. You really do want to be able to keep records. So these are things that you want to, even if you write down, you had this idea, write it down, create like a nice little document for yourself on Word and date it and sign it that says that I'm, like a journal entry. This is, my name is Alexis and I created Strange and Charmed on this day of this year and this is what I want to do. Signed, dated, right? So is that a legally binding document? No. But if there ever came up into court, and they needed to figure out when who started what business when, and they needed to draw a line, having a paper trail is very important. So this is why it's great to do it online in public, because everyone sees it. Everyone sees the proof. So yeah, definitely if you have an Etsy shop, start a website. Just so you have a place to talk about your Etsy shop so that people understand this is what you do, this is when you started, and this is what how you're operating. So it's just, leave a paper trail, make sure you're keeping records. That's the most important part. Don't get too caught up over things, LLC versus sole proprietor. All that is stuff that comes later. Focus on making your business successful. Work all that other stuff out later.
Exactly. And just to be clear, operating in good faith isn't like some Christianese thing that, like I just said, that is a legal term. So if you go to court, what they care about is there proof that this person is operating in good faith? If somebody on the other side of the world created paper and glam, they're going to wonder, did this person do it maliciously, or did they to knock off something that was, kind of established, or, did they genuinely create this? So that's what you're trying to do. Establish that you genuinely brought something into the world. So the next question, Alexis, I want to address is around Etsy shops, because I think this is really important, especially as shop owners, both of us. I think that we have a good perspective on kind of whether you should go Etsy or what to kind of think about when you're starting an Etsy shop. So Etsy has its pros and its cons like everything else. So Etsy, you have an established kind of group of shops that is trusted and respected, right? You know that Etsy has, is a company and that they stand behind their shops, and you have an established, Etsy in itself is a brand, right? You have an established brand to kind of stand behind. So that can be a pro. And it's really easy to set up. They do all the design, they do all of the heavy lifting, they have their own platform. Etsy, already has built into it, right? A way to leave reviews and a way to track shipping and, all the things that Etsy does. That can be a great pro. Something to think about that can be a con is it's very hard to establish a brand for yourself and get full flexibility from an Etsy shop, because you're kind of putting yourself underneath another umbrella, similar to Blogspot, what Alexis was talking about with Blogspot. Alexis and I have both chosen to create our own shops so that we have full flexibility. I can do whatever I want in my shop, and so can Alexis, and we can brand it any way we want. No one has to go to etsy.com/paperandglam to get to my site. I can make it, the Shop by Lisa Marie. I can make it the Glam Shop. I can do whatever I want with my shop. So just something to keep in mind, that if you are deciding to create an Etsy shop, it may be the right choice for you because it's really easy. It doesn't take much time to start up, and you can always graduate to another platform later. But if you're kind of in this for the long run, you may want to consider another platform that would allow you more flexibility. So just things to think about. There's no right way to do this, but just kind of, that's how I know you and I think about it, Alexis. And would you add anything to that as far as the Etsy dialogue goes?
Yeah, I mean, this is the way it goes in my view for like Etsy. Etsy is a wonderful place. It has a built-in traffic. There's already people, there's millions and millions of people going to Etsy already. When I started my shop, I chose not to do Etsy for two very simple reasons. Number one, I had a site already that was self-hosted WordPress, and I knew that I could build my own shop on my site. So why not? And number two, if I go to Etsy, I have to pay Etsy a fee of what I make. and doing it myself. If you could do it yourself, I'm very much, you guys know me, I'm a do it yourself kind of a girl. If you could do it yourself, I'd rather do it myself and have complete control. Would I be more successful on Etsy? Maybe. I don't know. I really have no clue if I'd be more successful on Etsy. But I know that it's working for me on my shop. I've got no complaints, and I have complete and utter control. I've got no one else. I don't have Big Brother watching me. I can do whatever I want with my products and the way I want to sell them and all that jazz. And I'm not working under the confines of Etsy. So, it's all what works for you. You know what I mean? Like it's just one or the other. If you don't think you can, make your own shop and you don't have the money to hire someone to do it, Etsy's a great place to do it. Same thing at eBay. I know some people who do eBay businesses as well. These are platforms that already exist, already have traffic. But because my brand is already established and I want it to be all mine, and I don't want to have to rely on Etsy, I did it myself because I could, and it saved me money. The end. Like that was how I thought about it.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of, where are you on the slider of like ease versus control, right? What is your priority? If it's ease, go Etsy. If it's control, go, do it on your own and kind of start it from the ground up. So that it's really kind of like a slider, ease versus control, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of questions about like how to do some of the stuff we're doing. You guys, I didn't go to school for this. I taught myself design all by myself. I taught myself web design and how to build a website. Guess how? Using the internet. I Googled it. If you have a question, Google it. Search YouTube. There are tutorials out the wazoo for how to build a website on WordPress. I bet you there's one on how to build a website. I bet you that there is a YouTube video out there on how to build a TypePad website using DreamHost. Like, there are exact scenarios out there for you guys. So just Google these things, search on YouTube. This is how we learned all this stuff. You read through YouTube, you watch YouTube videos, you read through the internet, you do research, you buy books. This was not something we were taught to do. I have no special knowledge. I am a tech geek, right? I love the internet. I love playing online. I love playing with gadgets and stuff like that. So I am disposed to this, but it wasn't like I was taught this from anyone. I found the information myself online. So all you have to do is do some research. A lot of the questions I'm seeing you guys say, if you just Googled them, literally you'd find answers. So literally, I empower you. Do it yourself, girlfriends. If you're watching Lisa Marie and I, you probably have a do it yourself streak inside of you. So search for it. Look for the answers yourself. Legitimately, all of these answers are things that we're not answering for you, and I'm seeing them come through. These are things you can Google, and you honestly, it would take you 2 seconds for you to Google it and find it. It would take me much longer to teach you and just sit here and just run through this stuff. Yeah,
we're definitely focusing more on kind of experience, because Alexis and I have been at this for a long time. So we want to share our experience, and there's so many incredibly well-written and very well-developed sites out there that have like literally lists with screenshots, so you guys can follow those really easily and just start somewhere. Don't get overwhelmed. Literally say, what's the first thing I need to do? Do I need to think of a name? Probably that's the first. And what I'm going to sell, that's probably, or provide or write about, that's probably the first thing you need to do, and just go from there and just Google your way through it. Because yeah, that's what Alexis and I did too. As much as I went to school for a lot of this, it was 2008. Things have changed dramatically. So, take it one step at a time. And get it, girlfriends, because Glampires weren't built in a day, right? Just one step at a time.
Exactly. The answers are all out there. You just have to go and find them.
Yeah, we're coming up on time, Alexis. We're kind of like 3 minutes too. We really ballpark about an hour and a half for these. Yeah. So I kind of asked if there are any like final thoughts, any ideas for the next Glampire chat. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No. I mean, we had our plan that got blown ages ago.
That's all right. There was one more question then that I do want to cover, because I saw it like 3 times in the comments, and it was also asked before. And it was, as markets change, brands must evolve. This is from Mick Woodall on Instagram. As market change, brands must evolve, tweak, or rebrand. How did you approach that, or have you felt the need? So for Paper and Glam, I've been really lucky. For me, it's as relevant today as it was in 2008. And I know, Alexis, you have a little bit of a different story. So it's really important for your brand to stay relevant and for, your content to look current, but I would, unless you're undergoing, you know, unless you really were into scrapbooking and you kind of wanted to roll planners in it, and your name is like Scrapbooking by Lisa Marie, you know, you might want to consider a rebrand. So there are reasons to rebrand, but don't feel like you need to constantly rebrand as trends change. Definitely do not follow the trends. If you have a concept you will that's great and it's helpful to people, you're going to develop a following, and it's going to be very easy to kind of transition between topics. I mean, with Paper and Glam, like I talk about Bible study, you know, and I talk about lifestyle stuff, and like I don't need to rebrand every time I kind of like add another topic of conversation, because hopefully, you know, it's relevant to most of my community. But I would say, you know, unless you have a very solid reason, like you like completely changed industries, or, you know, your brand doesn't resonate with you as the creator, I would say, you know, don't worry too much about rebranding. And I know, Alexis, you have definite thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, like Lisa Marie said, unless your brand completely changes, unless you were Scrapbooking by Lisa Marie and now you're like, that's it, all I want to do now is play with an iPhone, and you want to be iPhones by Lisa Marie. Like, you wouldn't need to do a rebrand for the most part. That's one of the great things about having a really obscure name like Strange and Charmed. What does it mean? Who knows? It can mean whatever I want it to mean. Like, literally, my topics from my blog have changed pretty steadily throughout the years. It's been, you know, I mean, 2012, Strange and Charmed started as like a lifestyle brand with a technology focus. It's still a technology focus, but now it's much more. You know, I used to talk about makeup. I don't talk about makeup anymore. I talk about productivity and things that are really important. It takes a while, you guys, to kind of land on your content. You know, it really does. It's a process. So don't feel like you need to have it day one marked out. And don't feel like you need to have a business brand that's like a name like Strange and Charmed or Paper and Glam. You know, you could start a business under your own name. You know what I mean? Like, just say, like, I could start a business that was like Alexis Giostra, and it could be a blog that's alexisgiostra.com, and just write about whatever I want. This doesn't have to happen overnight, but the quicker that you can get it solidified, the better. The more, you know, success you will have once it's solidified. I definitely found the most success in my business when I solidified. You know what I mean? So that's what. It's important. Branding is important, but get started, get your feet wet. You know, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't have to spend money. Mess around with your own logos and things like that. You know, there's plenty of free websites, and we'll talk about some real quick, some things that were written down. So Lisa Marie and I use Adobe Creative Suite. I use, you know, Illustrator and Photoshop for my images and my graphics. But there's places like PicMonkey, Canva. There's multiple different smartphone apps where you can actually, you know, design things and make images and mashups and whatnot. So definitely use whatever, you know, tools that you've got available to you. Don't feel like it has to be 100% out of the gate. That's my opinion. I was not 100% out of the gate, and I evolved and I changed. And like Lisa Marie said in the beginning, Lisa Marie had her plan. I didn't have a plan. We converged, and we're both at about the same place. So it's the quicker you can develop your brand, the better, but I wouldn't let it hold you back. Just explore, figure out what's right for you, do brainstorming, just be true to yourself and what your message is. And, you know, there's plenty of different resources online, free and paid and all that jazz. You know, so it's not like you're going to be alone. Just, you have to be willing to do the work. That's really the truth. Or you sign up for like empire building, like my program, right? So like, you just plug that. You know, the reason people like me create online marketing programs is because people have a lot of questions. So if you don't feel like you do it alone, you can sign up for a program like my empire building. There's plenty of different programs out there. So that's, you know, you're not alone. You definitely have different resources. You know, obviously you get what you pay for. You know, you pay for a resource, you're obviously going to get a better quality. So, you know, that's my 2 cents on that. You know, this is a process. You don't have to do it overnight. It doesn't have to be perfect out of the gate, but it's something that you want to strive for, to have a cohesive brand. That's the goal.
Yeah. And real quickly, I don't always have it all, you know, done. For example, the women who have joined me in God and Glam. So I launched God and Glam ahead of time. I've had the URL since 2012, but I hadn't planned to launch that until like Q3 in my business plan. And we're obviously in Q2 now. But there was such a desire for another Paper and Glam community that was, Bible study and spirituality and growing closer to the Lord, that I launched that early. And I didn't have my graphic done. I like literally threw one up that I made in Pink Monkey because I didn't have time, because I knew what I wanted the logo to look like. And if you've seen it, it's pretty elaborate. That took me about 2.5 hours to create. I didn't have 2.5 hours when I can create a Facebook group in like 30 seconds, so I just created the Facebook group. I threw up a rough image. There was nothing like what I knew the end game would be. But you know what? We had about 60 women studying the Bible and learning to grow closer to the Lord together that, I wouldn't have had up for a month. So don't let anything stop you. It doesn't have to be like perfect from the get-go. You can always update graphics, always update images. Just get it. Sometimes you just have to get it done. So I completely agree, Alexis.
Yeah. Done is better than perfect. That's my motto.
I tell that to Alexis. I tell it to myself all the time because I'm a perfectionist, and I literally have to remind myself every day. I only have so much time. I have a full-time job. Done is better than perfect all day. Grace for perfection. Done is better than perfect.
Yep. So are we winding down now?
I think so. There was a few questions around marketing, but I feel like that might be a whole nother talk.
Yeah, we're wrapping up now. Whoever's asking, we're wrapping up now, I think. So, yeah, we have so many things, you guys, that we can talk about. I mean, this is why this is a monthly video. So mark your calendars, first Wednesday of the month, 9 p.m. Eastern time. This is when it happens. We go back and forth. Next time will be on my channel, but the replays will both be on both of our channels if you miss it. That's what this is about. I think, and if anyone else has any more specifically branding related questions, we'll take one last one if you guys want to, but it sounds like you guys are winding down as well in the comments. So yeah.
And also remember, we wanted to make this form available. So Alexis and I carve out time in our schedule. We take a lot of time creating graphics and, creating content and making sure that even if no one joins and we get no questions, we have some great points to make and some great information to share. So definitely remember to like this video and, leave us a comment of support if you found this helpful, because, we do take time out of our months. And, even though this is like an 1.5 hour video, Alexis and I probably put 4 or 5 hours brainstorming it and putting it together because we do want to provide this resource, but we definitely want to do it if it's helpful for you. So definitely let us know if it was helpful. If there's other things you would like to see out of it, definitely let us know that too. We want to make this time as useful as possible. So thank you guys very much for watching and showing us some love and just everything you do to build both of our communities and the community that we all are a part of, which, is how Alexis and I found each other. So that's all because of you guys. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight or watch on the replay, and subscribe to Alexis and I if we're helpful for you guys. And anything else to add, Alexis?
Follow us on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat, at Paper and Glam. Tweet this out, you guys. Remember, we're doing this for you guys. So the more people you get involved with this, for us, the better. We spread this high and low. Put this in your Facebook groups. Put this on your, the video on your, in your Facebook profile or whatnot. Share this. If you think this is valuable, you want us to keep doing it, give us an incentive, you guys. Like, we're spending an hour, it was an 1.5 hours right now, but like Lisa Marie said, at least 4 to 5 hours each we spent on this preparing for this. So I know you guys don't see any of that behind the scenes stuff, like the marketing stuff we do, but if you appreciate this work, definitely, share it, do us a favor, get us some more views, and share this information. That's it. Like, that's how you want to pay us back. Do that. That's all I say.
Currency of online. So remember that. Links are the currency. When you share links for people, and when your community shares links for the business you're building, that's the online currency. Links are the online currency. So that is the best way to show us support, or show your whatever other communities are helpful to you support. Definitely share the links.
Tweet out some quotes from this that you thought were awesome. If you heard Lisa Marie or I say something that you thought was like a juicy little tidbit, tweet it out with a link to this video. Just make sure you guys are supporting us. That's all we ask. That's all. We're doing this for you. We put a lot of time and energy in it. If you can support us in any way that you can, that would be fabulous.
All right, I think that's a wrap for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Mark your calendars for 9 p.m. the first Wednesday of the month. Next time we'll be over on Alexis's channel, but it'll be much the same. And let us know what you want to talk about next month because we haven't even begun to discuss it. So we'd love to know your suggestions.
Yep.
All right, see you guys.
See you guys.